There are a few things you can do relatively inexpensively, and some of these could even be, little DIY projects that cost very little. So these are my top 5 touch-ups I always recommend. What's up guys, this is Yosef Adde, your South Bay and Los Angeles real estate expert, and this is part 2 of my selling for top dollar strategy, which is prepping the home for sale and getting it ready to sell. And now getting a home ready to sell sounds like a lot of work, and I'm sure the first thing sellers think about is how many thousands of dollars it's going to cost and how much headache that's going to end up being. And certainly if you end up hiring the average agent, they're probably just going to give you a long wish list of everything they want you to do, and then stick a sign in the yard and just wait for it to sell with no actual skin in the game with regards to whether it even sells or not. Now, I like to take a different approach where I'm personally invested in your home and help you actually get it ready for sale, and I don't get paid unless you get paid. So in this video, I'd like to go over really quick what it is I recommend to my clients before they actually sell their home, how I'm able to help them get those things done, and so we can best position your property to have a higher perceived value in order to bring in the best offers. Now, the goal in general whenever you're renovating a property before selling it is of course to attract the most buyers. And so in general, we want to make sure that whatever work we do is neutral, clean, and simple, rather than unique, complex, or over the top. Now, I know a lot of people are inspired by like HGTV, or now it's TikTok or Instagram with these videos of, these elaborate home renovation projects, and it's very tempting to want to do something similar, like converting their regular hallway to like an archway or putting a texture on a wall or something. But these features appeal to a smaller pool of buyers, not a large group. And quite frankly, most of them are not going to pay extra for things like that. Had you, say, just left alone that wall with a simple and clean neutral color, think of it like this: you want every dollar you spend to bring you more than $1 back, otherwise it's simply not worth doing. Now let's talk about kitchens and bathrooms for a minute, because these are undoubtedly the most expensive parts of the home to remodel. And if you were to hire a contractor, you could easily spend $10,000 on a bathroom and $25,000 on a small kitchen. And chances are, unless you're a professional home flipper, you're probably not going to get your money back. So if your kitchen or bathroom, or any other room for that matter, looks dated, there are a few things you can do relatively inexpensively, and some of these could even be little DIY projects that cost very little. So these are my top 5 touch-ups I always recommend. Number 1 is paint. Painting a home before selling always brings good return on investment. Now, if the outside of the house is in reasonable condition, then just leave it alone and simply paint the interior. And while it's true that a lot of buyers may end up even repainting the whole house anyways, it's still good to paint the inside because it creates a good impression that the home is clean, well maintained, and move-in ready. And of course, picking a neutral color like white is best. My 2 favorite colors in terms of white are Decorator's White, which is a clean and modern color, and Simply White, which has a little bit more warmth in it. And those are both Benjamin Moore colors, by the way. Number 2 touch-up would be flooring. A relatively inexpensive option would be vinyl plank flooring, which is similar to laminate flooring, but it's basically plastic, so it's fully water resistant. And like laminate flooring, it has that wood floor look. A step up from there would be engineered wood flooring, which is still less expensive than solid hardwood flooring. And when you're deciding what type of flooring and how much to spend, you want to take into consideration the buyer who's likely to live there. So for example, if it's a luxury property, then putting a cheap laminate or vinyl floor might not really benefit you at all when you go to sell it. Like, I once saw a $7 million house that didn't sell, and so they decided that spending about $10,000 on a cheap floor would help them, and they proceeded to list it for $50,000 more. But of course, it made zero difference and ended up selling for much less. And anyone spending $7 million on a home anyways is going to want something much nicer. So now if we're talking about a house that a first-time home buyer would likely buy, and they're already stretching with a 10 or 20% down payment, and may not be able to afford too many renovations after they buy, then with you putting in an affordable new floor, that would be very beneficial and will definitely bring in better offers. So that's just something to consider. And if worst case, honestly, you could just leave the floors alone if you don't have the budget for it. Number 3 would be light fixtures. Now, outdated light fixtures in the living room or bedrooms, etc., they really date the house and make it look older, whereas a new and modern looking light fixture might be 30, 40, 50 bucks. And throw in some new paint in a bedroom, for example, and all of a sudden it makes everything look brand new. So also consider maybe putting in those wireless ceiling fans. They're like $100 to $200. That way you could avoid even putting electrical switches. So new light fixtures in bathrooms are great because it's a cheap and easy way to make it look a little bit newer. So number 4 touch-up would be electrical switches and covers. Now, switching out those electrical switches and cover plates can also be a very inexpensive way of updating the property, making it look a little newer. So especially if everything is like dingy, like that beige color, by swapping everything out and putting in bright white light switches and cover plates, it really makes everything look 10 times better. So my number 5 suggestion for touch-ups is hardware. This is something you can do to improve the appearance of your home relatively inexpensively. Like for example, in a bathroom, this could be like a set of towel racks and those hooks where they all match up and look nice. Or things like in a kitchen could be the drawer pulls or the handles. You could replace a whole set for a few $100s. So, it's a little bit of labor, but it's a relatively inexpensive fix and could help an older bathroom or kitchen look a little bit nicer. Now, if you were to hire me, for example, for all these touch-ups, I can arrange these all on your behalf with the team I've assembled over the years for a very reasonable cost, and I don't charge anything at all to manage all this for you. So let's say that you're not interested at all in spending any money and you just want to sell it as is. And maybe you're living there and don't want to go through all the headache and painting or installing new floors, etc. Well, there are 5 things you can do to increase the perceived value for little to no expense. And so these are 5 steps I recommend to basically get your home showroom ready. Number 1 is decluttering. Now, decluttering is simply the process of putting everything in its place or out of sight. So when it comes to kitchens and bathrooms, that means keeping all the countertops as clear and empty as possible. That's most important. You definitely want to minimize the number of items you have in the house in general. Now, let's say you're still living at the property, and if you're like most people, then you probably don't have a house that's minimally furnished with everything looking modern and new. And so if your furniture is older or you just have a lot of stuff, you may want to consider showing the home in a way that I like to call partially vacant. And what that means is pretend the home was completely empty and you were house sitting it for a friend for like a couple months, and they even offered to move some stuff in for you. Like, what would you bring? You'd bring a bed, of course, to sleep on, and maybe a dresser for your clothes, a sofa and a TV, maybe a microwave and a toothbrush, and pretty much that's about it. So in other words, whatever it is you absolutely need, you want to keep those things in your home, and everything else, put it in the garage or put it in storage. So basically everything else can be clean and empty in the house. So that's easy for, what you want is you want potential buyers to visualize their stuff there, not yours. And that brings us to the number 2 thing to get your home showroom ready, is that's depersonalizing. Now, this is similar to decluttering, but what we're basically doing is getting rid of any personal belongings. Things like pictures of your family members or maybe your bowling trophies or whatever. Basically, when people come to look at your house, they're really only going to spend like 5 to 10 minutes giving it a quick look to see if they even like it in the first place, in order to get a second showing or even to put in that offer. And so in those 5 or 10 minutes, it's crucial for them to focus all their attention on all the wonderful things your property has to offer, and basically all the memories they're going to be making there. You don't want them to spend all of their time looking at your pictures of like when you were in Italy or all the magnets on your refrigerator or whatever. So the more focused they are on your actual property and how they can picture themselves living there, the more likely they are to submit you a great offer. Okay, so number 3, in order to get your home showroom ready, is getting the home and all the windows clean. So this goes without saying, but has to be said anyways. And that's keeping your house clean and tidy is always going to bring you the best offers. Now, even though like having everything put away in a closet might make sense, you don't want to just have it stuffed full of stuff, where basically as soon as the buyer opens it, it's going to leave a bad impression that you really don't have that much storage space at the property. So everything needs to be clean, organized, and it's funny how simply cleaning, all the windows, for example, makes a huge difference. Like cleaning all the windows makes them appear newer. So rather than spending $10 or $20 or $30,000 replacing all these windows, by simply cleaning them, you can basically make a better impression with these buyers so that they'll think the home is well maintained and worth thousands of dollars more had they just seen it less organized or dirty. And remember, it's all about instilling that higher perceived value in the mind of the buyer. All right, so number 4 to get the house showroom ready is landscaping. So when it comes to landscaping, if you're adding hardscaping or mature trees, and things can get expensive very fast. So when I'm talking right now about landscaping, I'm talking about light landscaping. And what I really want you to focus on is more removal. So for example, things like dead plants, trimming trees, bushes, decluttering all your outdoor spaces. Once the outside is all cleared up and tidy, then possibly consider adding a few new things like maybe some colorful plants to give the home some more curb appeal. And these plants don't even need to be permanently planted, by the way. They could simply be in pots, and you can take them with you after you sell the property. So if you have a little bit of time, also before listing it, you may even want to consider reseeding your lawn. So basically you're putting new grass seed, and in about 2 to 4 weeks, depending on the weather, you have a thicker and greener lawn. So to reiterate here, the idea with landscaping is, to make the property look well maintained with better curb appeal, and it's not to spend thousands and thousands of dollars. Okay, and number 5 is staging. Now, staging a vacant home is a smart investment that almost always brings in more money than it costs. Now, it's not cheap. Home staging can run anywhere from, say, $5,000 on a small house to $20,000 or more on a large luxury property using luxury furnishings. And perhaps that sounds like a lot of money for temporary furniture, but consider that new builders always stage and show their homes fully furnished. So home flippers and remodelers, they all do the same thing. And these people are not in the business of losing money. So if they see a positive return on investment, then that's reason enough for you to at least consider doing the same. So I went through a list of 5 touch-ups you can do to fix up your property and 5 ways to get your home showroom ready. And of course, most agents will expect you to do all of the work and pay for all of this. But did you know that some agents even offer some of these services at no cost? Now, if you decide to hire me, for example, to get your home sold for top dollar, many of these services to prep your home and get it ready for sale are included in my certified pre-owned services. Things like the home inspection, supervising and overseeing all the touch-ups and repairs, getting the house a deep cleaning. I pay for all of that. All the windows get cleaned, some light landscaping, home staging. I take care of all that for you, and I'll be personally invested thousands of dollars in the sale of your home. So why do I do that? Because, quite frankly, I sell every home I've ever listed. I'm not in the business of wasting anyone's time, and I want you to ultimately get the top dollar for your property. So if you'd like to work together to get your home sold for the most money possible and get it ready for sale, be sure to give me a call or check out the link in the description below to see a video on all the services that I provide at no charge to home sellers, and I'll talk to you soon.